Wednesday, June 1st, Independence Township Zoning Board of Appeals meeting at 6:06. We're currently waiting on the chair, Jim Epnick. He'll be here shortly, so we're gonna open and, possibly start the first case, and he'll get right in when he's here. So, everybody stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You do a roll call, Mr. Ottman?
Mr. Auger,
Present.
Mr. Galley,
Here.
Mr. Zurich,
Here.
and Mr. Epping will be here in a few minutes.
Thank you. We have a review of the agenda and a motion pertaining to the agenda.
Unless Brian has anything to add, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
I second it.
We have motion and support to approve the agenda as posted. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Seeing none, the agenda passes. Is there anybody in the public that wants to comment on a case that is not on the agenda this evening? Again, not on the agenda. Anybody online comment about something that is not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none. Item F, unfinished business. There is no unfinished business. Should I call the first case?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. We'll move right into new business while we're waiting for Mr. Epnick, since we do have a quorum present. New business case 22-010, Adam Christensen, petitioner, requesting a variance from section 10.05C1 in order to permit a fence to extend beyond the front of the building at 4836 White Lake Road, general industrial zoning. Mr. Christensen, just give us a brief overview on what you're trying to do, please. Name and address too, for the record.
Yep, Adam Christensen, 4836 White Lake Road. Just looking to extend the fence beyond the front of my building, which currently the code says can't go beyond the front.
And with the fence, obviously you're in the waste removal business.
Yep.
With the fence, what are you trying to accomplish?
Just more storage for dumpsters, trucks, basically.
Do you currently have a fence?
Yes.
Is this fence going to be higher, planned to be different material? What are the material types?
I haven't even got that far into it yet. Currently it's chain link on the three sides, the sides in the back, and it's wood in the front. I would just be moving the chain links up the side, and then the front either with chain link. It'd be privacy regardless.
I apologize.
You want to switch spots?
No, keep going.
Keep going? Okay.
Chain
we
link,
just
chain link with
started the
privacy slats, or
first
I'm
case.
sorry,
I apologize.
sorry.
Okay. Okay, I guess we'll bring it up to the board see if there's question or comment from the board on this case. Anybody have any questions or comments?
I have a couple maybe. How long, you implied you own the property?
Yes,
How long has the business been operating there?
since I've owned it, 2010.
And you're mentioning, so you have a little more space for dumpsters and or trucks. Is your business actually expanding and growing?
We are, yeah. In the summertime, it's not too bad when we're busy. In the wintertime, when a lot of our dumpsters come back into our yard because everything slows down, then hence I need storage space.
As a general rule of thumb, I think the township is trying to create like a green space between a roadway and businesses. In my mind, you're asking to try and reduce some of that green space.
Well, it depends on your definition of green space. It's, actually, I have asphalt parking lot going up to the 50-foot, what would that be called, Brian? Okay, going right up to the green belt. So I wouldn't be encroaching on any green space. It would be just the existing asphalt parking lot that I'd be enclosing.
So do I get that correctly? This computer's. Yes, okay, so the fence is down where he already has it all asphalt.
Correct. Right.
Anything else, Mr. Zerg?
I think I'm good.
Mr. Auger?
If I remember correctly, you were before us a few months ago, maybe a year or two, for
I don't know what I'm doing. Yes, I was. Ultimately, I want to do a transfer station. That property there is not really big enough. I am in the process of looking for other property to do that. But for the time being, I'm just looking for more fenced-in space, primarily.
I myself, the township worked for years with Mr. Dixon across the street from you, across the tracks there, to clean up that small site. It's still working. He still keeps pretty much his green space in front. When that was an old farmhouse, it was really bad. Driving up and down this White Lake Road, I realize that's about the only industrial area in the Independence Township is located down there. But there's a lot of traffic. Some of the business consider that's our main corridor coming into Independence Township anymore. Some people say Sashabaw, some people say Dixie. The people that have invested a lot of money on White Lake Road, Andersonville, say this is gonna be our main entrance. I don't know, not a planner. I myself would be opposed to it. It's bringing it right out to the road. It's right there at the tracks. I know it's a small site, but I think the site is so small that maybe your best advantage would be to try to find some property out somewhere.
I am, but I don't know if we're looking at the same, I wish we could look at a map here, but,
I'm looking at an overview of your building.
The fence is only gonna go just beyond the asphalt, so he still has green space in front of that.
if you see the asphalt parking lot.
Right.
That's where the fence would
Yep.
be. There are buildings closer to the road than what I'm asking to put the fence.
If the are the containers gonna be full or empty when they're placed out there?
No, well, empty. We do bring
Why
some full,
would you need a fence?
we do bring some full ones back occasionally. Why would I need a fence?
Yeah.
Well, it would look a lot better. I don't want to put dumpsters on the outside of the fence.
Anything else, Mr. Auger?
Yeah, not right now, thanks.
And for the benefit of maybe some of those on the commission that weren't here when Mr. Christensen was before us again, or for the general audience for that matter, he did ask for approval of a temporary building, and we granted him a variance to put it closer to the property line, I believe along the railway easement there.
Did that, sorry to cut you off, but did that ever actually get approved? 'Cause I
Did we
don't,
approve it? I thought we did.
I don't think it did.
I think it got postponed.
Oh, because we were,
The building, there was issues with the building type.
because it was a fabric and we were waiting for more details. Okay,
I don't think it ever happened.
gotcha.
That may be coming again if I can talk to the county anytime soon in the process of looking for other property and depending how easy the fabric building would be to move and all that stuff, so
Yeah.
kind of playing everything by ear.
Mr. Epnick, any questions?
Yeah,
Comments?
again, I apologize for being late, but I have looked at the property and not asking you to repeat everything, but what type of fence?
Yeah, that was asked. I'm not 100% sure. And on the sides, it currently has chain link, so I would just extend those up. The front, not sure if I'm gonna do the wood privacy as it is now, or chain link with slats, privacy slats.
Yeah. So my thought and what I heard you say, and I appreciate you walking through, is that it would help with storage of materials. And I think that's, despite the fact that this is our industrial area, it really is a pretty nice looking entrance road into the township. And I think as you go down the corridor, the businesses, and there's a lot of different types of businesses, from tour rentals to dockyards to your business and more, but they've all done a nice job of maintaining kind of that front yard greenway, and it is a green, probably the greenest industrial parkway in Oakland County. And I'm less concerned about the fence perhaps, although I am hesitant to open up that Pandora's box, but I'm more concerned about the idea of bringing storage out, even though it'd be behind a fence, but things seem to have a habit of, poking over fences, and it just gets bigger and bigger. So I think that's where I don't see a hardship in to bring that storage to the front yard becomes problematic for me, because I do think it begins to jeopardize the entire corridor.
It's understandable, yeah. I'm not dead set on this as much as I was 2 months ago, because things have changed. Even if I got approved, it was one of the things, like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it anyway,
I see.
so.
And to that, and I appreciate your transparency, but a lot of decisions that are made from a planning department point of view, or zoning board or planning commission, stay with the land. And so if you were to sell or relocate or change your business, then that fence would essentially be there.
Right.
And the future user, could do things that we couldn't predict as well.
Anything else, Mr. Epping?
No, thank you.
Couple comments. Yeah, the building that would be directly to the west of you is obviously a lot closer to the road frontage than you. Your fence would actually kind of almost be behind his closest corner, or even with it. If a fence did go there on the drawing, there's a bunch of asterisks. I'm assuming those may represent plantings in front of the fence or something.
Oh, some pines, I was just gonna put some pines up in the green
Yeah,
space.
if we added bushes or whatnot to screen the fence, if it did get approved, that I would, kind of condition for that. The question came up of him putting equipment out there. There's really nothing we can do if he puts equipment out there without a fence, correct? It's on his property, or,
Well, it gets into outdoor storage, and he'd have to get approval for that, to do that. So, ultimately, he's gotta keep it behind the fence right now. And if he does start to put it out front, we're gonna get complaints about storage, outdoor storage, so.
but
he
if it's
can't-
a dumpster business, isn't that part of their business? He's not really storing raw materials.
It gets into a gray area that we'd have to,
And that's why I'm asking. I don't know how the township would
we'd have to
do
review the
it.
ordinance, because there is outdoor display and sales. In theory, that's what he's doing, he would do if he were to put it out front. It's outdoor display. He has to
Mhm.
get approval from the planning department for that.
What about trucks out front?
Well, commercial trucks, we can't do anything about that with your average, your business on it.
Okay.
As long as they're licensed and everything
Mhm.
else.
Anybody else have any questions or comments on the board?
No additional.
Somebody ready to make a motion or entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion in case 22-010 as advertised to deny the request. I don't feel there's a particular hardship or practical difficulty that's been shown by the petitioner.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there
Support?
motion from Augur, support by Epnick? Do a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Auger,
Yes.
Mr. Epping,
Yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
and Mr. Zurich.
Yes.
Okay,
Thanks, sir.
so the motion to deny passed, and I guess the way the board was viewing it is that, you know, it's trying to keep the front of those properties clean along there, what the township has worked hard on.
Yeah, I get it. Thanks for your time. Doesn't hurt to ask, right?
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, we'll call the second case, case number 22-011. Leah Bossert, petitioner, requesting a 10-foot variance from section 5.06A6 in order to permit the reconstruction of an existing deck at 7401 Scenic Ridge Drive, zoned R1A, single-family residential. Leah?
Yes,
Okay, can you briefly describe what you're trying to do there to the board, please?
yeah, the existing property as it stands right now, that the south face of an existing addition encroaches upon your requested variance, the setback anyway, and so the deck or the balcony as it is right now already encroaches into that space. Really what I want to do is bring it out 3 feet 2 inches to match up with the back of the existing addition that was put on, I think, in the 90s, maybe it was 2000s. So I'm really asking for like 3 feet 2 inches of, width space, but it's really just to rebuild an existing balcony or deck.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, can you name and address for the record, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, Leah Bossert, address is 7401 Scenic Ridge Drive in Clarkston.
Okay, thank you. So I see in the case here, this has an old case attached to it, correct?
Mhm.
And,
Yeah, essentially, a previous property owner was approved for this variance already. And so, but in reconstructing the deck, she has to come back and get approvals for that.
this subdivision in particular, growing up as a kid, just a stone's throw down the street from there, in Deer Lake Farms, this sub already existed. I mean, that's, if you tried to build any of those houses today, you'd probably need a variance for 99% of them, I would imagine.
Correct.
So, okay. All right, I'll bring it to the board here. Anybody have any questions or comments? Let's start with Mr. Apnick on this one.
No, it makes sense to me. It doesn't seem as though there's any negative impact to the neighbors that we've heard from yet. We'll open it up, I'm sure. It does, it's a unique neighborhood, and it's essentially affirming a previous zoning board decision by adding 3 additional feet to it, which just brings it in line, doesn't extend further than the house. So it makes sense to me, and it does seem like an unusual circumstance.
Thanks, Mr. Epnick. Anybody else, questions or comments?
Oh, Brian, has anybody in the neighborhood that's been notified?
Yeah, everyone was notified within 300 feet. I did speak to the next door neighbor and who came in to look at the case. He had no issues with it.
Okay. Is she changing post locations or anything? It's mostly cantilever is what I understand.
It is, yeah. I think the old wood was removed. I mean, that's the picture that was shown
Okay,
when
now
they applied for the building permit.
When I drove up there today, I noticed on the other side of the enclosed porch, and maybe the petitioner can answer, it appeared there was a deck. Oh, depending on which way you want to say things are pointed up there. The opposite side of the enclosed area, is that gonna be replaced, or is that?
That was not part of the building permit. When I reviewed it, it was just this one in particular. This one, I think, had rotted wood and needed to be replaced.
It appeared that the floor choices.
The side to the east portion as well also was, all of that wood was rotted. So I did have that portion taken down, and essentially there was no way to get to that anyway, except if you were exiting through a bedroom window. So
That's the way it appeared.
So I didn't need to make any great escapes, so I went ahead and took that down. But my plan also is that all of the T111 that's on the house, I'm either going to repair that and or possibly put vinyl siding up, so it will look much more aesthetically pleasing than it does right now.
Do you-
But I do not have plans to do anything with a balcony or a deck on the east side of that sunroom portion because there's no real use for it. You can't access it.
Right. Do you have a contractor that you're working with, or are you doing this yourself?
I have a contractor I'm working with.
Okay, just make sure they're, the new deck requirements, fastening it to the house and stuff. I have no further problems with it.
Thank you, Mr. Auger. Any questions, Mr. Zurich, comments?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Okay, I'll open it up to the audience. Is there anybody here to comment on this case? And I believe she's the only one online besides you, Brian, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back. My previous comments were the same, that the neighborhood obviously is variance laden, and it's, yeah, she deserves the right to make her deck whole and rebuild it, so I don't have a problem with this case as well. So is somebody ready to make a motion?
I'll make a motion in the case of 22-001, Leah Bossert, petitioner at 7401 Scenic Ridge Drive. I vote to approve the 10-foot variance as requested to rebuild the existing deck and add an additional 3 foot to it, keeping it within this variance, seeing that it's previously approved zoning board of appeals approval, and that she's has an unusual circumstance in the sense that she essentially has 2 front yards to the home.
I'll support it.
Can we have,
I'm gonna make an amendment.
okay.
Go ahead, do the vote on that. Do that right, then make the amendment.
You wanna make an amendment?
Just to clearly state that she has a practical difficulty with the topographic of that lot. If nobody was up there and saw how the grade falls, it probably falls 40 feet from her walkout basement to the road level.
Yeah, so the person
Yeah.
making the motion can accept it.
We'll accept that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by
I'll support.
Epnick and amendment and support by Auger. Roll call, please.
Mr. Epping,
Yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Zurich,
Yes.
and Mr. Auger.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Leah. It's been approved. You can get with the building department for your permits to finish the project.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep, thank you. Okay, the third case, calling case 22-012, Matthew Kimball, petitioner, requesting a 5-foot variance from section 5.06A6 in order to permit the construction of a deck outside the approved building envelope at 6190 Stonewood Drive in a planned unit development. Matthew?
Good evening, I'm Matt Kimball. My address is 6190 Stonewood Drive. So my home was built off of the road, so close to the easement at the rear of the property, and that's limiting the ability to build a deck back there. And so I'm requesting a variance of 5 foot in order to enable that.
Okay, I see your sketch here. How long have you owned the home?
Since late 2014.
Is that when it was built approximately, or
It
you're the
was.
second owner?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was obviously involved in the planning of the building, but not where the house was placed. So that's one of the many things that I learned to be in my first house
Yeah,
that I built. But
I understand. Okay, anybody on the board want to open up questions and comments?
Did you say you're the first or second owner?
first owner. Yep.
First owner. Then you have a copy of the bylaws and condominium the PUD type agreements that Mr. Johnson got approved through the planning commission here?
In 2014, I remember receiving a copy. Yeah, it was about 240 pages, I think, yes.
Okay, because I was talking to Brian before the meeting. As I recollect the subdivision, because I live close proximity to it,
Okay.
he got a lot of variances to do a PUD in there.
Okay.
For open space, et cetera, et cetera. And there were a lot of restrictions, let's say, put on it for decks, no covers on decks, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have a copy of those. I've done a condominium subdivision myself, and I wish Mr. Sherrill was here. Has the association said anything to you about doing an amendment because you're going outside the building envelope?
They approved the build plan as is, so obviously we're,
Because
you know,
sometimes
here-
title companies
Yep.
get a little bit excited when you go outside of a building envelope in the condominium subdivision, because condominium is basically a platted subdivision, but it's not. It's mostly done with deed restrictions and things like that.
okay. Yeah, Victor International approved the plan.
Yeah, Dave Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah. Very familiar with him. Okay.
Sure.
That's it for now.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Anybody else? Questions, comments?
I have a question for Mr. Ottman. And Alan points out that it's a PUD and they are fairly shallow lots, and you are on a corner, and it's not a regular rectangular lot like the others, so I can see where there's a bit of a pinch point there in the corner, but they're all shallow lots, Brian. My question is, have there been a lot of variances for decks in this community? And
Absolutely, yeah, there's been numerous variances, and that's part of the reason why the planning commission now makes it, a priority when these come up to make sure the decks are within the envelope with no exceptions. But this one, almost every deck in here had to get a variance at one point in time.
Okay.
Especially in this phase where they're all the really small lots,
Right,
large homes generally and small lots.
thank you.
And I believe the petitioner included that as part of his rationale, a case that I think was a couple doors down.
Correct,
They
yes.
received it.
Two doors down, they provided their documentation. It's case 12-011.
So that was back in 2012.
2012.
Yeah, that's probably when the majority of them were built in that time frame.
Is that the reference, the two houses down, does it look like they have a lattice structure above their deck?
They do,
They do.
yes.
Seems like everybody put a
Yeah,
deck up
they went within 14 feet of the property line. My line would take it to 20 feet, so not quite as large of a variance there. But yeah, looking down the easement, it was, I knew exactly where to go to find somebody that had already submitted one, so.
So your deck extension would be more or less in line with the neighbors as you look down through
It'd be
The
about
middle
6 feet less.
than
Yep.
the 1-2 feet down,
Yeah,
or
I
two
mean-
houses down.
In the,
But they all stagger as you go down, in and out.
yeah, I included a satellite view in the petition that kind of showed my home and the home houses down were built at a very similar gap toward the easement, whereas most of the other homes were a little bit further off, and so anyway, yeah, that they're similar in that manner. But yes, as you mentioned, they're all somewhat aligned going down the easement. So
Is part of this gonna be enclosed?
no,
It's all gonna be open, no roof, no sides?
correct.
And as obviously the comment cards went out, and probably quite a few went out, because there's a tight circle of houses there. Any feedback, any calls?
I would've hit 1,000,000 houses too.
Okay, I'll take it to any audience comment on this case. Seeing none, back to the board. Anybody have anything additional? Any more questions? Or entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion in case 22-012 to approve the 5-foot variance as requested in the advertisement. The hardship being their small building envelopes and narrow property, and the petitioner stated there'll be no roof, no side walls, just an open deck with railing.
I'll support it and kind of ask for an amendment like you did last time, and also add the fact that his particular lot is an odd-shaped corner lot as well.
Yes.
Okay, we have motion by Augur, so support by Galley with an amendment. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Zurich,
Yes.
Mr. Auger,
Yes.
and Mr. Epping.
Yes.
Okay, your variance has been approved. Just get with the building department to get all your permits and get your project done. Okay, all right, good luck. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Okay, fourth case, case 22-013, Michael Kirchner, petitioner requesting a 4.1-foot variance from section 4.06D, table 4.06, in order to construct an addition to an existing home at 7472 Wingate Drive, planned unit development. Michael,
Good evening, gentlemen.
name and
Michael
address,
Kircher.
please, and then brief description.
Yes, sir. Michael Kircher. You said Kirchner. A lot
Oh.
of people add it into my last name.
It's
and
because I
for
know a couple of
years,
Kirchners,
everyone
sorry.
says Kirchner. Yeah, it's just Michael Kircher,
Sorry.
7472 Wingate Drive, Clarkston, Michigan, 48348. We are asking for a variance. I think probably most of you went out and saw the property. We are located on a corner lot, which requires that 40-foot setback. Both, I consider, as you know, 2 front homes. So I have a 40-foot setback on the front and the side. We're wanting to do an addition on the side of the house. We do, some of the reasons, we have the smallest square footage of any house in the property. There's 8 different models. I've been there since 1997. I moved in when it was in phase 2, so I'm one of the original owners in there. One of the other reasons, so again, small square foot in the home, our house is not positioned in the center of the lot, which obviously I can't control that. If it was positioned in the center, there'd be really no need for the variance. And as our family is growing, I have 3 little girls now. They're 8, 10, and 12. We want to expand the footprint of our house to meet those growing needs. This is our lifetime home. We want to stay there, but my wife is really fed up with that laundry room, mud room. The expansion will allow us to have a real mud room for our 3 kids and all their stuff, and not the 8x8 current one that's in there. That's also our laundry room, our closet, our deep sink area, and there's literally no space in there. And again, it's the main, through the garage, it's the main entrance into the house. So it allows to widen and expand the kitchen, which is a very narrow kitchen as well. And it's just currently not set up for modern day living as a growing family is. I do have approvals. I went in front of our board, the homeowners association. There's 86 homes. I do have a letter from the the president of the association approving that, if you guys need that. Also, the house right to the right of me and the one right across the street, I have their approval as well. This is from Diana and Mike. I'm sorry. They're right next to me, and I have Matt and Kristen Houston. They have approved as well.
This
I'll find-
email looks familiar on this one.
The what?
Is that from your planning commission member that lives up in the subdivision?
Yeah,
Judy?
yeah.
Wait, is that a good thing or bad thing?
Judy Tully?
Oh, well, yeah, Judy, yeah.
Okay.
She's a sweetheart. Well, I hope you guys think the same thing. Just showing you, and again, sorry I didn't have this presented. I was a last minute now. I got it in the day of the last day to submit. So the laundry room is this, like I said, washer, dryer, sink, closet, and this is what we're wanting to take out the whole side of the house. And then on the survey, this is the extension this 8 foot coming out, but this yellow is what's affected with the variance, so we're asking for a 4.1 variance, but the majority, because my property line is curved, the majority of this variance is within that 40-foot setback
I see.
on there. If that
Just
makes
that-
sense.
that
Other
triangle.
things I will show you real quick. So this is what it currently looks like. This is the side of the house, if you saw it. And this is that mudroom that I'm talking about, and then that's the rest, that's the kitchen. I have a couple drawings that are just mock-ups. We didn't pay anything for we weren't gonna pay a lot of money until we knew we got approved. So this would be just showing you what it could look like, with that part coming out. The current back right now has a porch roof that extends out. That would just wrap around and continue, you see on the
Same
drawing.
shed roof around.
Yeah, shed roof, I called it a porch roof, might be the wrong
Yeah.
terminology. Just extending that, so we wouldn't have we wouldn't have a roof line like that. Possibility we might put a window up there, again, this is just rough drawing on trying to see.
Yeah, since you showed these, I guess we'll just keep them for the record too, if that's okay, or
Sure,
Brian
yeah,
can make
again,
copies
that's,
of them before we leave.
I have another.
And
you know,
it's
we were-
noted that it's preliminary, that's
Yeah.
fine.
You have another set that we can enter these into the record? and-
Oh, sure, I have a set.
and Brian can make a
Yeah.
copy.
Yeah, and I actually have it on a flash drive if you wanted to save that on your computer. I have
You got
that,
everything?
yeah.
So you're gonna use the same materials as the existing house and
That's
it'll
the,
blend
that's,
in and match?
yes, sir. So when drawing this, I had a friend who just did mock-ups. He put siding. That's not allowed. In our bylaws, that first floor all the way around has to be brick or stone, and we will maintain the integrity of that. We'll use, when I did some brick repair about 5 years ago, there's a company that I'll use again that'll match that exact same brick.
I'll take your jump in.
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks.
The basement stays the same, you'll be on a crawl space, or are you gonna extend the basement?
We're not going to extend the basement at all.
You're not.
They were just done, I am working with a contractor, again, we haven't paid him anything, he hasn't done any design yet, Jeff Harden. So he's already he's got estimates, and he gave me some rough estimates what it would cost, on pouring the footers and everything like that. Probably wouldn't start till September, because they're so far out, if it gets approved, which will give us time to design the kitchen and the cabinets and the locker room system that we wanna do in the mudroom.
Okay, all right, thanks for the detail. Bring it up to the board, anybody wanna start, questions or comments?
I would like to thank you for asking your neighbors and making sure they were happy.
Well, we wouldn't do it, I mean, if someone had a problem with it. And I walk my dog, I'm known in the neighborhood, I walk my dog all the time, and everyone got the postcard, and everyone's like, can't wait to see, because if you went to my lot, I mean, if you went to my house, you'll see it's meticulous, I mean, no one has better landscape and stuff, I'm very anal, everything I do, so we won't do anything, we don't want it to look like an addition, it's gonna blend right in, and I'm still 35 feet from the road, or the 35.1 on that one end, from the 10-foot setback, so it's
Right.
still a good distance away from the road.
Anything else, Mr. Zerk?
I'm set.
Mr. Epnick?
Mr. Kelly, this, it certainly looks like a nice addition and won't, in my opinion, harm the neighborhood. I think this is one of those cases that, yes, it is two fronts, and a lot of homes in our community have two fronts. But what's a little more unique about this is the situation that just in terms of lot placement, it is favored right along that southern edge of the property line. Had that house be placed more in the center of its building envelope, as the applicant points out, they really could have put a bigger addition on it. So that location has a unique hardship to it.
Anything else?
No.
Yeah, and I'll echo Mr. Epnick's comments as well, and also add to that the curvature of Oakstone, and as the petitioner called out, just off the top of my head, it looks like 70% or more of this addition is actually inside the buildable envelope as it exists. It's that curvature that makes that front corner extend out, and thus the need for the variance. Mr. Auger?
No, I have nothing more to add. I don't think it'll affect any of the neighbors. It's modular, it keeps it uniformity with the house and keeps the character of the subdivision up. I think he has a particular hardship, like you mentioned, of the curvature. And seeing as though there's a planning commission member that's pretty tough on these site condos today, living in the subdivision, and she's approved it, I can go along with it, I think.
Anybody in the audience who wishes to comment on this case? Seeing none, back to the board for a motion.
I guess I'd like to make a motion on case 22013 for Mr. Kirschner to grant him the 4.1-foot variance in section 4.06 to his existing home at 7472 Wingate Drive. And just to reinforce that the homeowners association rules are very important to follow.
Yeah, absolutely.
His hardship is the curvature.
And that we acknowledge the hardship is related to the side road towards the garage door opening, the curvature of that road, and the placement of the house on the original placement on the lot.
I'll support.
A motion by Zurich, support by Augur. Roll call, please.
Mr. Zurich,
Yes.
Mr. Auger,
Yes.
Mr. Epping,
Yes.
Mr. Galley.
Yes. All right,
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that.
variance request is approved. Just get with your contractor and get the permits, and good luck on your project.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Obviously, you saw what we call it.
Yeah, I got it.
I'll make a
Do you-
motion.
Sorry, did you want these copies too?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Yeah, just leave that.
Okay, sorry, Mr. Auger, go ahead.
Bring that to him? Yeah, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented of the May 4th, 2022 meeting as submitted.
Second?
Motion on the minutes by Auger, support by Zurich. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Seeing none. Minutes are approved from the previous meeting. Any discussion?
Brian, is there any word on the Neiman sign on White Lake Road?
I haven't heard yet. I had heard from the owner. The only thing I've heard is that the owner said he's gonna come in with a much bigger sign. That's all I
If he alters it at all, it has to come back before us?
Yeah, I would allow him, you know, due to the accident, to put it in the back in the exact same configuration and spot, because that was what was approved, but he said it's too small anyway, and nobody can see his businesses in there, even though it's more full than it ever has been in my lifetime. So, you know, from way back in the day when they had Blockbuster in there.
Right.
So,
For the board members that maybe don't know it, the Neiman sign that the CBA approved on White Lake Road got wiped out about a week or so ago.
I saw it was crunched there. I didn't know if it was a truck. I didn't know it was a ZBA approval.
Yeah, it
Locating
was.
it there, it's right on the front property line, and it's a real safety
Yeah.
issue there. There's a ton of accidents that happen right there.
It's so
it's
big.
amazing that it
That's a
lasted
tough
that long.
intersection to begin with, the White Lake and Dixie, right?
It gets so backed up there.
Especially the White Lake entrance, yeah. It's a tough one.
So if he alters it, it'll come back to the ZBA.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and sounds like he will. So we'll see.
Anything from the township discussion?
Nope.
Anything else?
Just a reminder, the meeting is July 20th, so it's pushed back because of July 4th, and
It's July
I'll be at a conference.
20th?
20th, yeah.
So it's the third Wednesday or something?
Yeah, third Wednesday.
So
So I'll
we'll
be at a
have-
conference.
We'll have July and
meeting?
August almost back to
The
back.
ZBA meeting
Pretty
in
much.
July, because 4th of July, the first week, then he's gone the next week.
Okay.
And will you be making personal phone calls to remind us?
I'll send
Well,
out
it
an
depends,
email.
anybody in Kroger will get one.
I can do that for you if you'd like.
I was eating
Appreciate it.
dinner with my in-laws once and I got the call. Put the fork down.
I was just at home, I'm like, I had a meeting this afternoon, I was a little relaxed, I said to my boys, you know, what do you want for dinner? They didn't, all right, I'll go to Kroger, kind of enjoying the afternoon.
Now she's waiting for dinner.
Still. Oh, well, thank you for calling me, sorry for being late.
Okay, you have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:50.
6:51.
Oh, 6:51, I'm sorry.
I always screw up when I look up there too. Okay, we're gonna adjourn at 6:51.